Take a deep breath. And here, as we settle further into this peace, the peace that is this community, that is life, that is God, we allow ourselves to know fully in mind, body, spirit, and heart that peace is our essence. And that as unique expressions of the divine, we radiate peace. That perhaps that is why we are here, to be peace upon the earth, to speak peace. To express it in what we do and how we do it. To be the peacemakers in our relationships, in our work life, in our everyday goings and doings. Perhaps peace is what we should endeavor to be. So we just let ourselves sink into this, letting it flood our hearts and our minds. Letting our bodies recognize it, our nervous systems recognize it and hold it as reality. We know that the world can be crazy, and that life can be chaotic, and that circumstances can be anything but harmonious. And yet we know the peace that is God is what permeates life, is the understructure, the underpinning, the shelter. That is our existence. So we breathe in peace and breathe out peace, instilling it in heart and mind and body. We stay in a place of surrender and openness, knowing that what we resist persists. That what we fight exacerbates. Because we know that all is God, we know that we can let God and let go. We know that we can be forever open. For we are supported by life. Life with a capital L. We live and move and have our beingness in this peaceful presence. So here from this place of peace, we now sing our centering song, Spirit's Prayer. This is today's reading from 365 Days of Richer Living. Peace is mine this day, for there is nothing to fight. There is only God to realize. But deliver us from evil. That's from Matthew chapter 6, verse 13. I am delivered from all my difficulties, for God in me is my deliverance. Infinite mind knows no restrictions, and I, as its representative on earth, am now free, whole, and at peace. My consciousness controls my world, and I refuse to think evil. I think truth, and thus truth controls my world. Peace is mine this day, For in my thought there is nothing to fight. There is only God to realize. I love to contemplate the things of the Spirit. As I steadfastly think of God in his heaven, I forget that evil has ever been, is now, or ever could be. I see that truth alone prevails, and love alone heals. I speak the truth and am healed by divine love. I am radiant with joy, for never again shall error fool me, nor human opinion ensnare me. I am spirit, and I think in spiritual terms. I am the expression of divine intelligence, and all my thinking is geared to this premise. The unreality of evil is true, and I accept this. I no longer seek it or use it as an excuse for my own failure to see the good. God didn't make evil, and I refuse to believe in it or in any power ascribed to it. The whole world is my friend. Cooperation greets me wherever I go. All people help me, and all situations bless me. I'm delivered from all negation. The action of God taking place in my affairs today eliminates and prevents evil from appearing. It has no power and has no reality, and I see only God in myself and my affairs. My salvation is of God, for his mind is mine, to use for the glory of good and for the furtherance of peace. I walk in wisdom, born of the Spirit, forevermore. And so it is.
Me too.
Suspense. This is about will. And we have to listen to the whole thing until we find the magic word, will, willing. When anyone enters the deep silence, he loses himself in the cosmic universe and becomes one with the cosmic Christ. At the time of this merging of self with the whole, he is in a consciousness from which he can see his place as part of the whole, and in which he can receive his individual message. The entire man, mind, body, soul is then lifted in an ecstasy that breaks forth in songs of praise and thanksgiving. But unless we steady ourselves after coming back to the material plane, declaring that we are poised and balanced in spirit, and that as children of God, we cannot be moved from his truth of being. And unless we realize this, we are apt to be thrown off our feet at the first sight and sound of an error appearance. Praise and thanksgiving should continue, for they have the power to bring forth that which is praised and that for which we are giving thanks attains greater power to express itself. Sometimes when a wonderful message has been given us in the silence, we are content for days just to repeat it over and over and live in the wonder of the inner revelation. Perhaps all at once there comes a great and burning desire to live the message, to make it true on the outer as well as the inner plane. If one would grow, one must live whatever message is given in the silence. It is as much our mission to live any message given to us as it was the mission of Jesus Christ to live the life and die the death that he did. There is no message too trivial to be carried out. For if nothing in the outer seems to result from it, there has been built into the consciousness a willingness and readiness to go as directed. that will lead to higher things. So our affirmation today: I live the messages I am given in the silence, for I know I am always led to my highest and best. I live the messages I am given in the silence, for I know I'm always led to my highest and best. I live the messages I am given in the silence, for I know I am always led to my highest and best.
I don't often make requests, but thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. So today's affirmation is working on me right now. The messages received in the silence. I hold and move with. It's interesting, when I launch into these talks, I often just have opening sentence and maybe a theme, and I don't know where it's going. So this is just interesting. Spirit at work. So one of my favorite pastimes these days are word puzzles. It's actually a tournament online in this app, and they give you 7 letters, and you have probably 15 words you have to find within those 7 letters, and they're anywhere from 3 letters to 7 letters. And I've been doing it for a little while now, and in the beginning it just started out as fun, and I can get a little competitive, so you can see where you rank amongst others who are playing the same game. And then for a bit, I was in it and thinking, I got to obliterate the competition and I got to get more points, and I got to be number 1. So if I'm ranking as 30, I'm in every day, and I'm doing the puzzles, and I got to get past this one and that one, and I got to be number 1. So in the beginning, it was an interesting exercise to look at the letters and to know I've got to get these 15 words out of there. So I really was working very hard and analyzing what are these letters and how can I get the words and how fast can I get them and how can I move on to the next puzzle. And it has transformed into an experience where now I've been doing it so much and I've relaxed and pulled back from the individual letters, and now I'm looking at the letters as a whole. So it's like I'm seeing the forest for the trees. Before, I was stuck in the trees, and I was stuck in the minutia, and I was stuck in individual letters trying to fit together, and how do I make that work? And now I look at 3 or 4 letters together, because I know it's not possible for certain letters to go together and make a word and be part of a word. And so now that I've stepped back and I relaxed and I'm having fun with this, and I'm just letting myself be guided through each puzzle, I'm often whipping through each puzzle, because when I see it, I instantly see the word, the 7-letter word that's at the end, right away. And that never happened in the beginning. When I was struggling, when I was working for this, when I was just trying to make it work and trying to win and get it done and move on to the next one, that never happened. When I decided that I just want to be in this and be present and be with whatever's happening and be in this experience, it's interesting that now I'm seeing whole words come out right away, and often in 2-3 minutes, I'm done with the puzzle and I'm moving on. And enjoying seeing the forest for the trees. Being able to sit with that and know that there is something that is present within the 7 letters that is a larger message or a larger experience for me. Not that I've let go of trying to obliterate the competition, because I thoroughly enjoy obliterating the competition. This week's puzzle, I'm now about 4,000 points ahead of number 2. And I'm enjoying that. So that part is also part of my forest of life. So for me, there's always a larger message in everything I do. When we relax and pull back from life, from the minutiae of life, and let ourselves see the forest for the trees, we are more present, we are more peaceful. I think we're happier, we are less stressed, and we get so much more, we can enjoy so much more richness within each circumstance. And we can still be in our personality, like with me, and trying to obliterate the competition. You can still have those parts of your personality that show up, and you can stop judging it as something that you need to get rid of, and you can just recognize it as something that is part of you, and it's okay, and perhaps it's even a beautiful part of you. If you can pull back from it and be objective rather than stuck in the subjective and the criticalness that we have about ourselves. So if we open that up a little further to life in general, we can get stuck in this minutia that is the world, that is circumstance, that is polarity of good and evil, day and night, him and her, they and them, this party, that party, rich and poor, tall and thin, tall and short, thin and fat, old and young. And when we get stuck in that, then we lose the beauty of the forest. And we get stuck in stressful situations, and we get stuck in the weeds of life. We don't get a chance to pull back and look at the entire garden. All we see is the weeds. All we see is the dirt. All we see are the things that we don't like. All we see are the things that stress us. And then all we experience are the things that stress us out. And then we get stuck in that. That becomes our experience, because what you focus on exacerbates, gets bigger, and becomes who and what you are, and it becomes your physicality. Your body starts to read that. Your nervous system is feeling it. And then we lose what life perhaps is all about. When we get stuck in the weeds, we don't get a chance to recognize love in situations. So my niece texted me this morning. My sister, her mother, died in 2009. And my niece now has a 5-year-old, a little boy, who will not know his grandmother, will not know my sister. And so he was asking about family this morning. And he asked about her mother. And she said, "Oh, do you want to see a picture of my mother?" And so she showed him a picture of my sister. And he said, "Oh, that's my grandma." And she said, "Yes, that's your grandma." And he said, "I like my grandma." I know. And so she texted and she said, "I'm in tears right now because he's asking about my mother. And so I'm feeling this moment, and I can feel that it is both heartbreaking in the moment because she's missing her mother, and yet she's feeling the joy of her son recognizing his grandmother and saying that he likes her from just looking at her picture." And so she was able to be in the weeds of that situation, also pull back and say, "I get to have this with my son. I get to have the joy of my mother with my son. And perhaps he will know her on a different level now." So she was in the weeds for a moment and then pulled back and said, "Oh, yes, this is grief, and yes, it's joy, and it's all multidimensional. And man, is this a rich, rich moment. I don't know that she would have had that same experience even 3 years ago, 2 years ago, or a year ago, because she has grown and evolved, both spiritually and emotionally. And we've talked about grief, and we've talked about life, and we've talked about the weeds and then the forest, and looking at the whole garden that is life. A lot of people struggle with, why are we here? Why am I here? What is this all about? What am I doing? And I think if we stay in the weeds, then we miss the larger message about why we're possibly here. If we get stuck or ensnared, like that reading, if we get ensnared by the opinions of man, of the outside world, of mass consciousness, or individuals who are around us, then we can lose what the larger message is. We can lose the forest. And all we get is the chaos of the minutia. It's interesting what comes to me during the week leading up to Sunday. So one of my favorite singers, Leslie Odom Jr., had on one of his albums, it was as the song was a reading called A Psalm of Life. And I didn't know at the moment that it is actually from a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And he wrote this shortly after the death of his first wife, and it's called A Psalm of Life. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream, for the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow finds us farther than today. Art is long, and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still like muffled drums are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in a bivouac of life, be not like dumb, driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act, and act in the living present, heart within and God o'erhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime. In departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing, shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait. So what is it for, and what do you want it to be for? Can you pull back out of the minutia? Can you pull back out of your circumstances and look at your life, look at life itself in its totality? Can you do that on a daily basis so that you can stay in touch with what is God, what is love, what is peace, what is harmony, and know that if we can get further along tomorrow than we did today, that perhaps that is what we're here for, to grow and evolve and to be more of what life truly is. I've been in the weeds. I stayed in the weeds for probably the first 3 decades of my life. And all it did was exhaust me and stress me out. But that's all I knew, and that's all I knew to do until I started to learn to live differently, to to first of all start my day immersed in that silence. That silence with a capital S, which is meditation, which is to go within, like we did at the beginning of service, and commune with that which is the forest. Remind ourselves of the forest. And start living your day, start living your life that day in the present. That's a capital P in that poem, that present. That is God in life. And let that guide you through all circumstances. The more I've done that, the more I can live and navigate all the circumstances, even the stuff that I don't want to happen, and I have to take a breath and accept so I can be in that present and not fight. Don't resist. What you resist, persist. And I can watch what's happening. I can be immersed in what's happening, but not have it take a hold of me. Life doesn't have to grab you. You can navigate it, you can be in it, you can engage with it, but not have it own you. Not have it own you. So that reading from 365 Days of Richer Living is saying, yes, there's stuff going on in the world. Yes, there are things that we call evil, and it doesn't have to be yours. That you can hold the truth. You can keep the forest in your mind. You can always affirm that God is real, and God is the world, and God is what's governing all that happens, even if you fail to understand what it's all about. Most of what goes on in this world, we don't know what it means. We can speculate about what it means, but because we're not the unified field, we are that thing, but we don't have the, maybe we do have we can possibly know what's going on in the unified field. Maybe we'll evolve to that point, but right now, as human beings, we are stuck in the minutia. We're stuck in the individuation of what's happening in life, and we're not allowing ourselves to pull back and see what's going on in the world so that we can see chaos, but see love and see something that is actually goodness at work. That there's a forest here. Not just weeds, not just chaos, not just evil, not just violence, not just people perpetrating against others and our capacity to hurt each other, but that there's a grander scheme out there. I trust that there is. Otherwise, I don't want to get up in the morning. If I don't believe that there's something else at work in this life, and that for me is God, then how do I get through? I don't want to do that every day. I don't want to get up and fight every day. I've done that the first 30 years of my life. I don't choose to do it anymore. I choose to stay in truth. I choose to stay in the forest. I choose to circle above. See what's there. Trust that there's goodness, that there is a plan, that there is something happening and something at work that is God, that is good. And there's also me. And that I get to navigate this life and be in this life and express that life and that goodness and that truth and that love, and to be something that counteracts all of that chaos out in the world. So yes, I believe in love. Divine love, unconditional love. I see it, I feel it, and I see it, and I feel it despite what goes on in the world. even in light of what goes on in the world, because I stay in the presence, I stay in the silence, and I go back to it. And every single time I feel myself getting rattled, I retreat to the silence again. I go back to the forest, because I can get lost in the trees. We can get lost in the trees. When you find yourself getting lost, when you find your nervous system starting to overact, to start to vibrate, to start to give you signals that something's wrong here, and your brain is giving you those signals. Danger, 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 Will Robinson. When you start to feel that, then go in the silence. Let your body be silent, even as chaos is happening around you. Take some breaths. Let yourself breathe. Let the air settle within you. Let yourself know that that's more than just oxygen, that is the life, that is God, that you're breathing in and feeling, and be that. Let yourself be that and retreat to the forest. Maybe that's what we're here for, to learn how to do that, to be that in the world. It takes work, it takes practice. It takes going into the silence, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Run to the silence. Especially when your brain is going 100 miles a second. Go to the silence. When you feel like you can't sit in the silence, go to the silence. That's exactly when you're supposed to go. When the world is getting you down, go to the silence. Take that to the silence, to God, and let it go. No matter what that looks like. If that's a primal scream in your house, if that's some deep breaths, if that's tears, whatever that is, let yourself be in it, but be in the silence and let the energy that is God work with it. Work with you. Remind you who and what you are, that we are that forest. If we'll let ourselves know that. Stop identifying with the world. Yes, we're here in human form. Yes, we are individuals. And yet we are also, in New Thought philosophy, we are also that wholeness that is God. You're also that. So I invite you to pull out of the trees. Let yourself see the forest. Spend time in the silence. That's why one of our tools is daily meditation. Daily, daily, daily. Daily means every day. Not because it's some punishment or something you got to do so that you end up being good people, to turn you around. It's so that you realize the goodness that you are and that you experience that in the silence, and that all good gifts can overflow into your life. They're overflowing anyway. It's just that when you're stuck in the trees, you don't see the goodness. You don't feel the forest. You don't feel that love, which is God. Because you're stuck running around in the trees, branches hitting you in the face. Run into a tree trunk, bouncing off into the ground. And you wonder, you get up, shaking your head. What the heck's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Slow down, get quiet, go into the silence. Recognize that you're in the forest and there's something larger here. Something bigger than all the minutia of life. Something that can heal everything that you need healed. something that can resolve every conflict you are now engaged in, something that can heal every conflict the world is engaged in, every war, every violent act, every crime committed, every evil thought, every evil deed cannot compare to the power that is God, that is goodness, that is unconditional love. Know that and live that. And you will always, always know that you are in and being led to your highest and best. Let's take this into meditation. So think about your life. Not just all the facets of it. Not just the things that are driving you crazy right now and the things you think shouldn't be happening. But pull back. Widen your vision, broaden your vision. As Longfellow wrote, know that there's God o'erhead. Pull back your vision. Get the long view, the wide view. Life is not just one moment, one day, 1 week, 1 year. Life is an experience, and in its totality can be seen much differently than if we get stuck in the moments, in the minutia. Let yourself enjoy the forest. The forest of your life, knowing that you've come so far from where you once began, from some of the craziness that happened years ago, months ago, maybe a few days ago. If you've grown just a little bit from yesterday, from last week, call it good. Enjoy the forest. invite you to now see your life as a part of all of life. Each of us, a treasured, integral part of the wider tapestry of life that is humanity. Each of us here for a specific reason that perhaps only we know. Perhaps we don't know. But if we can pull back long enough and let ourselves be with God, be in the silence, to stay in the view of the forest, the answer will come. The answer is there waiting for us. Waiting for us in the larger view, in the totality that is God, that is life. Come out of the trees. Enjoy the panoramic view that is life. Let God and let go. Surrender to what is. Invite in your purpose. Invite in your calling. Open up. Stay open. And let goodness overflow into your life, into your vision. Let's take a deep breath together. Exhale. Relax. Relax. All is good. All is well. Because all is God. So it is and so it shall be. Amen.